The excruciating trilogy of new Halloween films comes to a close with Halloween Ends, a nonsensical finale to what has been, well, a 6-hour return to Haddonfield. Halloween Ends is not only about rage, but also about the inevitability of evil that is there to bring around some kind of profound thesis statement. Or perhaps the movie is a parody of self-serious horror films, but who can really be sure? To begin with, here's the crux of the story. Before we proceed any further, be warned. We are entering some major spoiler territory now. Following the underwhelming reception of Halloween Ends, a new petition demands that the film be completely reshot. Yikes. Michael Myers, who first appeared in John Carpenter's 1978 original film, returns to direct David Gordon Green's Halloween reboot trilogy, which began with Halloween in 2018. In the reboot, Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode returns to face the unstoppable killer once more. Last year's Halloween Kills received mixed reviews, but set up an emotional and action-packed final showdown between Laurie and Michael, with the recently released Halloween Ends bringing Laurie's story to a close. Halloween Ends picks up 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills, with Laurie writing a memoir in an attempt to move past her extensive trauma. Much of the plot revolves around Corey, a new character who is revealed to have a special connection with Myers. Although Corey's descent into evil is a central theme of the film, Halloween Ends does include a final battle between Laurie and Michael, as teased in the trailers. Laurie's eventually able to kill Michael for good with the help of her granddaughter Allison, and puts an end to the villain by disposing of his body in a large industrial shredding machine. Now here's when things took a turn for the worse. A new petition has been launched on change.org, demanding that Halloween Ends be reshot entirely. It was started by a user named DJ Jones, who expressed his displeasure with the film's treatment of Michael Myers. The petition has received over 5,600 signatures at the time of writing. Jones just basically said what we have all been feeling. The film Halloween Ends was not what the fans wanted. We have earned a film worthy of Michael Myers and the Halloween franchise. What's more, we adore this franchise, and this version of a Halloween film left us sad, angry, disappointed, and enraged. And let's not forget one major flaw. Michael Myers, the king of slasher films, is our apex predator, and the film merely gave us a weak, pitiful Michael who relied on his mask to survive. It's high time we received a film that depicts the true meaning of Halloween, isn't it? What are your thoughts? Now, why is Halloween Ends so divisive? While Halloween Ends presents some interesting ideas thematically, many believe that the film ultimately loses sight of what makes Halloween movies exciting. Choosing to focus much of the story on a new character would have been a divisive move in and of itself, but the fact that Halloween Ends was promoted as the conclusion to Laurie Strode's epic saga against Michael only adds to the confusion. Although Michael's weakened state makes sense given the beating he took in Halloween Kills, many clearly believe that it detracts from what should have been a film that saw Michael at his most lethal. Halloween Ends makes a number of daring narrative choices that clearly don't work for many viewers, which was likely exacerbated by the film's marketing. The fan petition will almost certainly fail, regardless of how many signatures it receives. Are they ever successful? But we think there's a likely chance this film might be rebooted in a few years. Although the majority of people seem to agree that Halloween Ends is a letdown, the petition is part of a larger trend in recent years that has seen fans band together to demand changes to released pieces of media, which is only likely to grow in the future. But it's time for some semblance of good news. Halloween Ends fixed the series' ultimate Laurie Strode problem. Let's learn more about that. Halloween Ends concludes the Michael Myers vs. Laurie Strode saga and resolves a recurring franchise problem with the latter. It wasn't the first slasher film, nor was it the first to feature a final girl, but it established the template for the entire genre. Almost every slasher film that followed has some Halloween DNA in it, and Michael and Laurie's relationship has evolved in bizarre ways over the years. Jamie Lee Curtis's desire to move on to other types of roles caused her to pass up many sequels, but she was drawn back in years later. Halloween Ends appears to be her final battle with Michael Myers, at least for the time being. The sequel also gave Laurie a clear victory over her tormentor. Michael Myers is truly, irreversibly dead by the end credits. It ends on a hopeful note for Laurie, resolving the series' recurring issue with the character. Previously, a desire to continue the franchise led to various iterations of Laurie dying, whether off-screen in Halloween 4 or on-screen in Resurrection, so Michael could continue slashing. Halloween Ends gives Laurie the victory she deserves, with no plans to continue the Blumhouse series. So, who's happy with this end? Now that's not all, folks. Halloween isn't the only horror franchise that has sacrificed an iconic final girl in order to continue with a new batch of victims. Friday Part 2 of Friday the 13th almost immediately killed off original survivor Alice, while the third installment of A Nightmare on Elm Street killed off Heather Langenkamp's Nancy. Because these shows were built around serial killers like Freddy or Jason, producers saw little value in bringing back surviving characters on a regular basis, which would also mean pay raises. The simple solution was to eliminate them and replace them with younger and less expensive replacements. Not every franchise did this, with Scream's heroine, Sydney, Neve Campbell, always surviving. Laurie and Michael killed each other a few times in different timelines, though the latter's death was always ambiguous, with the exception of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Halloween Ends appeared to be built on the idea of giving fans the Laurie ending they had always desired. Since Michael is thoroughly pulped in the 2022 sequel, it's difficult to imagine another entry, though there's some wiggle room because Michael Myers' mask was not destroyed. Coming up, we think Halloween Ends should be Laurie's last outing. Laurie Strode has appeared in the majority of the 13 Halloween films. She's lost friends, family, and her life in different timelines, but Halloween Ends feels like the character's journey comes to an end. She's conquered her demons and learned to accept her grief and trauma. Moving forward, the franchise should look beyond Laurie to find a new antagonist for Michael. Dr. Loomis, for example, never got closure with Michael on any of his timelines, so perhaps he should take over the next entry and let Laurie rest. Let's wrap up this conversation by talking about the last of Halloween Ends. The climactic battle between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers in Halloween Ends answers the question of whether evil truly dies. Halloween Ends picks up 4 years after Halloween Kills, with Laurie and Allison living together as they process their grief and trauma from Michael's final rampage. Meanwhile, Allison falls in love with Haddonfield's new town outcast, Corey Cunningham, who is accused of murdering the boy he was babysitting 3 years ago. As more tragedies occur in Michael's absence, Halloween Ends, in which Corey is cast as the new boogeyman, raises an important question about the franchise. Is evil created or is it born? Wouldn't we all love to know that? Michael Myers has been hiding for the past 4 years, but the original boogeyman reappears in Halloween Ends when a group of bullies throws Corey over a bridge. Before looking into Corey's eyes and seeing his past crime, Michael drags him into his lair in the sewers, intending to kill him. The new character Corey from Halloween Ends is then transformed into an entirely new person before going on his own killing spree, further dividing Laurie and Allison. That's when things took a slight turn. Laurie and Allison reunite to finally put an end to the evil in Haddonfield, with the two working together to kill Michael Myers and put an end to the all-consuming nature of their grief and trauma. While the ending of Halloween Ends clarifies the immortality of evil in the franchise, Laurie Strode's boogeyman appears to be gone. The final act of Halloween Ends takes place on Halloween night when Corey dons Michael Myers' mask and murders the Haddonfield residents who previously terrorized him. Meanwhile, Laurie Strode fakes her own suicide to lure Corey to her house, with Jamie Lee Curtis's Halloween character shooting the new boogeyman down the stairs. Corey, of course, doesn't die, but instead stabs himself in the throat in order to frame Laurie for his murder, reasoning that if he can't have Allison, no one can. Those are some red flags right there, folks. Allison, of course, shows up and continues to blame Laurie for Michael Myers' actions, claiming that Laurie is the evil that attracts the killer. Quite the chaos, isn't it? That's a wrap. Let us know in the comments what you think of Halloween Ends. Did it deserve all that backlash? Hit like, press the bell icon for updates, and click that subscribe button because we'll be back with another video. Bye!